Let's be honest, we are all absolutely drowning in data. I mean, spreadsheets, reports, dashboards, they're just everywhere. But here's the real question. How much of that data actually helps you make a smart decision? You know, the difference between just having data and actually having insight. It really just comes down to one thing, a story. So today, we're going to dive into how to turn those endless, boring rows of numbers into powerful stories that can actually move your business forward. So, does this sound familiar? You know that feeling. Your company is collecting just a ton of information every single day, but trying to make sense of it all, it feels, well, impossible. And that right there, that's the big challenge for so many businesses today. We've got more data than ever before, but not nearly enough real understanding to actually make good decisions. Okay, so this exact problem is forcing a huge shift in how we do things. We're finally moving away from the old way, digging through these dusty, static reports, and we're stepping into a whole new era of dynamic, interactive data exploration. And look, let's be super clear about this. This is not just about making prettier charts. No way. It's a fundamental change, a total flip from being swamped by data to actually being in command of it, seeing it with total clarity. All right, to really get this shift, we've got to start with the tool that, let's face it, most of us grew up with. For decades, it's been the absolute cornerstone of business analysis. But as you're about to see in this new age of big data, our old friend, the spreadsheet, well, it's really starting to show its cracks. It's hitting its limit. Okay, so take a look at this. Yeah, it's clean, it's organized, but what is it actually telling you? Seriously, you could stare at this wall of numbers for hours and completely miss the story hiding inside. And that's the real problem with just raw data sitting in a spreadsheet. All the important stuff, the patterns, the trends, they're buried, totally hidden in plain sight. And it's not just that it's hard to read. These tools, like Excel, have very real, very technical limits. I mean, they just choke on datasets with over 1 million rows, which honestly isn't even that big anymore. They slow down to a crawl, they crash, and oh man, trying to connect a few different data sources together, it can be an absolute nightmare. And the charts, they're just flat. They're static. You can't click on anything. You can't explore. You can't ask why and dig deeper. So, okay, if spreadsheets are the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's all about learning to actually see our data. And a really powerful visualization isn't just about throwing data at a chart and hoping for the best. No, it's built on a few core principles that are designed to turn all that noise into actual meaning. You can almost think of them as the golden rules for turning data into decisions. And bam, this is what happens when you transform that same raw data. Suddenly, instead of that wall of numbers, you get insights, like immediately. You can see in a split second that the East region is crushing it. And hey, the Central region is really struggling. Q4 was obviously a huge quarter for everyone. But even better, it makes you ask new, smarter questions. Like, what's going on with all those returns in the North? That's the real power of visualization. It stops being about just looking at numbers and starts being about having a strategic conversation. Okay, first principle. Clarity. This one's simple. If your chart or graph makes the data more confusing than the spreadsheet did, it's a total failure. That's it. Every single element, from the colors you choose to the way it's laid out, has to serve one single purpose, making it super easy to understand. Next up is integrity. And this one is like 100% non-negotiable. Your visualization has to represent the data honestly. It's actually pretty easy to tweak a chart to tell the story you want it to tell, right? But the second you do that, you've broken all trust, and you're heading for some really bad decisions. The visual has to be true to the data, period. Third, we have engagement. Now, this is where it gets really cool. The best visualizations today aren't just pictures you look at. They're interactive. They invite you to come in and play with the data, to click on things, apply filters, and just explore. And this isn't just for show. When you can do that, you start to build a real connection with the information, and you uncover little insights all on your own. And last but not least, context. Think about it. A bar chart with no labels is just a bunch of pretty, colorful rectangles, right? It's meaningless. Context is what gives the data its meaning. We're talking about clear titles, legends, notes, all the stuff that answers that all-important question, so what? It makes sure everyone in the room knows exactly what they're looking at and why it matters. Okay, so we've got the principles down, but how do we actually put them into practice? Well, the modern toolkit for data analysis is pretty much dominated by two huge players that were built from the ground up for exactly this: Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. So let's do a quick breakdown. Think of Tableau as the powerhouse for deep analytics. It's got incredible flexibility, which is why it's a huge favorite among data analysts who really need to get in there and do custom deep dive work. Power BI, on the other hand, its superpower is how perfectly it fits into the whole Microsoft world. If your business is already running on Excel, Azure, and Teams, then Power BI is just a no-brainer. Look, they're both amazing tools, but they're tailored for slightly different jobs. All right, theory is one thing, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. We're going to take a look at a fantastic case study, Lufthansa, one of the biggest airlines on the planet. And we'll see how they used these very tools to completely transform their operations. So here was Lufthansa's problem. They had a mountain of data coming in from flights, maintenance, passengers, you name it. But all they had were these static reports that were useless for making fast, real-time decisions. So their solution was actually brilliant. They went with a hybrid approach. For their operations teams, the folks who needed that super flexible deep dive analysis on flight paths and maintenance schedules, they gave them Tableau. Then for their business teams in finance and marketing, they used Power BI because it could deliver standardized reports right inside the Microsoft tools everyone was already using. It was a perfect right tool for the right job scenario. And the results? I mean, they were absolutely transformative. They started improving their on-time performance because they could predict maintenance needs. They cut costs because their financial forecasting got way sharper. They even increased bookings with more targeted marketing. But maybe the most important thing of all, this whole approach completely shattered the data silos between departments. For the first time, everyone was looking at the same information and speaking the same language. So all of this is happening right now, today. But technology, it never stands still. The future of data visualization is already moving towards something even smarter, even more automated. Here's kind of how it's evolving. Right now, today, we have these great interactive dashboards where we explore the data ourselves. The next step, which is just around the corner, is being able to just ask your data questions in plain English. Show me the sales for the West region last quarter. That's natural language processing. And then the future? Well, that's where AI and augmented analytics come in, and the data will actually bring insights to you, automatically flagging trends and patterns you didn't even know you should be looking for. Pretty amazing, right? And that really brings us to the final thought here. We're living in a world where these tools make it possible to turn pretty much any data set into a compelling story. The technology is there. So really, the only thing holding anyone back is just curiosity. So the big question you should be asking yourself isn't, are there stories hidden in my data? The question is, am I ready to go find them?